Alright, Cora, let's take a look at your paper. Emily format first. This is all good. This is all good. Hollywood beat down, which, I don't know, I almost feel like you. I know we talked about this title a little bit, but I almost feel like you need to bring up Scott since he's kind of your end goal. Um, and I know because of the aggressive actions, I don't know. I guess I'm torn, is what I'm trying to say. Alright, so you start off with these questions. You have one, two, three questions that you're trying to get to. Now, the problem I have is this is essentially the topic. So, in all reality, you're starting off by talking about the topic. So, I'd want to maybe caution you that don't start off with that. Maybe start off with another question that's going to lead you to the topic. That you have the idea that some people try as hard as they possibly can, but they don't always succeed. Maybe you could talk about an example of that. I was thinking like a bank robbery gone wrong, but I'm not sure how that would tie into being a Hollywood starlet. So anyway, then let's get to it. And there are 4 simple steps to reach the top. But I feel like, again, I don't know. I guess it's okay leading to it, but I still feel like this could be stronger. So you have all your main points. I really like your thesis statement. I think you're one of the few people that your thesis statement turned out really well in both my classes. So congrats on that. And then let's get into your actual steps here. All right, so they start out with you having moderate talent for step 1. Now, you don't need to put for step 1 because you just use the words start out. So I know this is your first step. This is still, I think, a weak topic sentence. All right, so we need dance skills and acting skills. I really like your use of outside sources in here. I think these are really good outside sources. And I think what you have in here is good information. I wouldn't say a lot of this I don't think has a really good voice to it as far as maybe word choice. I feel like you repeat a lot of words. I mean, I don't know how many times you repeat dance over and over and over and over again. You got some you got some space issues here. You have some space issues, too many spaces here, so just be careful of that. Things like this example here, you can have a much stronger sentence in here. Talk about some specific things that you can do to help run lines with somebody. I don't know. I just feel like you can have some stronger information here, some stronger examples to make it more original. Because right now I feel like this whole thing isn't very original in your wording, in your examples. I feel like you can add a lot more to that. Alright, so to go to competitions, at competitions you'll be competing at important showcases for both dance and acting to get the attention of crowd producers. Like this is a perfect place for an exclamation point. This is another line I think is weak. You'll be told you can dance and act. Well, duh. I mean, you just went through the whole thing about how you'll be able to dance and act at the end of this. So I don't feel like that's necessary in here. I think your transition can be better. Basically, you'll have many producers offering you deals, comma, which means choosing the right one is essential to continuing your path to world domination or something like that. So you need to have a stronger transition statement because then you get into research, and finding the best producer. Now, you asked me at one point whether it was okay to start with this, and I said, well, yeah, it's not your topic sentence. But really, this isn't about research as much as it is about exploiting. So I'm not sure why you really need to research. I mean, I get you got to find the right person, but remember comma conjunction only when you have 2 complete sentences. So you need to find a producer who is successful, no comma, and reputable. To be a good, successful producer, comma, you need no comma. All of this, and again, I really like your use of outside sources, Cora. I think you do a really good job of citing outside sources. So you need to find, and this is where, see, the tone in this one was very serious, very matter of fact, and I knew you were getting here, but the tone of this one is eventually going to get a little bit more tongue-in-cheek and, a little bit more funny, because basically you're going to exploit this person. A go-getter usually is hyphenated. All business and looking out for himself only. Not getting eaten alive. This is a sentence fragment here. And then you need to get him to be attracted to you. Now, the rest of this, I feel like you can probably essentially nail down to like maybe 3 or 4 sentences instead of how many you have here. Basically, you want him to buy you things and take you places, but you do a lot of stuff in between here. The idea that he needs to buy you designer clothes and shoes, and then you say he's going to make your image sexier. You need to improve your image. You can't just wear common clothes. You must have the most extravagant wardrobe. See how you're just repeating yourself over and over again? Just, be specific. He's going to buy you these types of clothes. He's going to take you to all the coolest places like this in Hollywood in his Ferrari Testarossa, whatever car. And by doing this, he's going to make your image sexier and irresistible. And while you're doing that, you'll be introduced to so many famous people, especially potential actual husband candidates, not like this schlup you're dating right now, like Scott Eastwood. So I think you really need to narrow this down. I think it's meandering a little bit too much as far as this. Who is going to, gonna is not a word. So going to make your image sexier and irresistible. And again, once he falls in love with you, you're set. Well, technically you're not set until you meet who you're really after, which is a famous Hollywood star like Scott Eastwood. I feel like this needs to be in the next paragraph. There's no end mark here that you have, so that's a problem. But I think this needs to be a stronger transition. Although maybe this is okay for transition, but this is just out of place. This needs to go in the next paragraph. All right, so I think we need to frame this next body paragraph a little bit better, because essentially what this step is, once you get this producer, the producer's just there for you to meet Scott, okay? Now, this is all about getting his attention, which is fine, but this is way too specific because you actually never talk about personality, teeth, eyelashes, or smile anywhere in here, because this is mostly about eating and dumping the producer. So you really need a stronger topic sentence in here. What this is really going to be about. So you're really getting his attention, but you've already talked about some of these things already, like eating healthy. I mean, how does the step of eating healthy? It just means you won't get fat, I guess, but you're meeting him for the first time, so you should already not be fat at this particular point. And like, for instance, how long is it going to take for Scott to fall in love with you? Because if it's over a period of like a year, then yeah, I guess you are going to have to maintain your healthiness and etc. But hopefully this makes sense, Cora. I'm not sure where this paragraph really needs to go, because in the last part you talk about begin to spend more time with Scott instead of your producer. But I feel like you've already dumped your producer at this particular point. And maybe you need to mention at the beginning. Once you meet, Mr. Eastwood, you'll slowly start to, dump your producer for his growing affection or something like that. I don't know. But figure out how you want to organize that to be the best. I don't know. Again, I don't know what the eating healthy part is the best. You've already talked about, your last paragraph was about how your image will be perfect with the perfect wardrobe and everything else. You have some space issues. Look at how many spaces you have in between some of these words. So go back and fix some of those space issues in the beginning of sentences. But again, your producer, you'll need to impress him every night, fall in love with you. But again, look at all these vague statements. I want a really specific stuff that you're going to do. Soon have the same last name. Again, I think you can be a little bit more specific with that transition. All right, so you're doing a lot of good things in this paragraph and some things that we still need to work on. All right, so your next step is to get Scott to marry you. Again, this is less about steps and more about just what you're going to do with Scott. So you're kind of in fantasy world here, because basically you're saying you just need to get him to married, and then voila, he'll get the idea and propose to you. Like, you didn't necessarily have a step here, you just said it's going to happen. And then now you're talking about your life once you are going to get married. People want to be like you. Your name will be everywhere. Even big movie producers want you to be the star. And sometime go back through and count how many times you use the word hot or hottest in this paragraph, and it's going to blow your mind, because you use it like so many times. Hottest, 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 hottest. Anyways, this is really funny. Rent a private island for the reception. One for the reception and one for when you get married. I like that your wedding will be so amazing. People will hear about it and wish they were you, comma, too. That's a really funny line. Like, you have some good details in here. But again, what is the actual step? What does the person have to do in order for this to happen? Not just, what is the dream wedding like? It's got to be a step that's going to get you this famous celebrity, because this will be your last step to kind of cementing your name in the whole celebrity, which you're hinting at the end. It'll be the best movie of the decade. You'll be the hottest celebrity craze. So at that point, you're really famous at that particular point. So, tabloids, how could tabloids be helpful to you once they see you and Scott around together? You could talk about that. Anyways, there's just a couple of different areas that you need to fix there. All right, so thesis statement here, which I think you could restate. I don't like the 4 simple steps above. I think you need to restate without that. Each one gets its own main point, which is good. You use sweltering instead of hot this time, so that's good. But this is a real short clincher. You want something a little bit longer than that. Probably get rid of that. Start with this. You cited this, so why is this here? And this is a WikiHow, which is not a good website to use, not reliable. So get rid of that name at the beginning, get rid of that name at the beginning, and start with the other two, since they're not the authors of the whole website. Other than that, you are correct. All right, Cora, lots of things that you can work on. Organization, word choice. Work on those few things and make your paper stronger.